Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us tonight for the STEP webinar. My name is Christina Martin. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Programs in the SEED office, and I run our STEP program. I also run our Clark Scholars program. So tonight, just want to kind of give you an overview of STEP, kind of the components, the various components of the program, talk about some of the benefits as you're transitioning into your fall semester at Virginia Tech. And then we have some wonderful students who have agreed to join us tonight who have been in STEP. And so they want to talk about their experiences and why they recommend the program. So we'll let them give you their perspective at the end. So as I said, my name is Christina Martin. I run the STEP program. A little bit about me. I was a K-12 teacher for 17 years prior to coming to Virginia Tech. I literally have taught kindergarten all the way up through seniors in high school. I have a background in math and computer science. I was also the STEM director for our county. So things like robotics and engineering was kind of my interest area. 3 years ago, I came to Virginia Tech and have been working with some of our scholarship programs in the College of Engineering and in our summer bridge or transition program. I truly, truly enjoy it. I enjoy working with engineering students. So it's definitely a love of mine. I keep in very close contact with our students. The students that you see tonight are students who we see on a daily basis. They're in our office. I keep good candy in my office to kind of entice everybody to come back and talk to me. Um, let's get started. So in addition to myself, usually there are at least 6 RAs or residential advisors in the program with you and 3 female RAs. We also usually have a grad student who kind of helps me see everything. The grad student sometimes will be in the dorm, sometimes not. But the RAs will live with you. They'll become very good friends. They'll also become your first line of advice because they really have been there and done that. And they are also really good about doing some social activities with you all, which we'll talk about. But that's kind of the staff for the program. So it's me, an assistant coordinator who is usually a grad student in engineering, and then we have our 6 RAs. All of our RAs are also in engineering, so they are a wealth of advice for students who are attending STEP. So just kind of some general information about STEP. STEP is a 4-week program. You have to be enrolled or admitted into the College of Engineering to be able to attend the STEP program. So only students who are admitted into engineering get the invitation for the application. The program dates are the last week of June through the 3rd week of July. So it's June 22nd this year through July 19th. We'll get into this a little bit later on in the presentation. The cost is $3,500, which basically covers your food and housing for the semester or for the summer. We do offer scholarships, and I'll talk about those a little bit when we get there. But I know a lot of students have asked about, what the cost of the program is. So in thinking about why would you want to come to STEP? STEP is different. I've had a lot of questions from students about the difference between STEP and Summer Start. I think one of the things that sets STEP apart is that it's specifically geared towards students who are going to be in engineering in the fall. Being in engineering is a very different major at Virginia Tech than other majors are. It's a very demanding major. Um, and so I think STEP offers you an opportunity to kind of become familiar with the resources in engineering, the people in engineering, the courses in engineering, the expectation of what those courses have before you ever step foot on campus and actually take your first semester of those engineering classes. I think if I could say, probably from my perspective, one of the most beneficial things that students gain out of STEP is the network of friends that they build in the 4 weeks. Um, as I was saying, Nolan Salif, Abdullah, who's also on, these are students who we see on a regular basis. They're in our office. The students that they met at STEP are very good friends of theirs. They see them every day. They study together. They eat together. And those were friendships that were built during STEP. So these are students who are going through the same stressors, the same courses that you are. And so I feel like probably the most beneficial thing that students take from STEP is really that group of friends and that network that they build while they're there. Um, it's hard in a class of 300 to get to know somebody very well, but it's very comforting to walk into a class of 300 and already know 2 or 3 people that are sitting in the class. Um, all of the freshman courses, all of the freshman engineering students have to take. So chances are there's going to be somebody from STEP in one of those courses. And I think that is a benefit of the program, going in familiar with people who you're going to see. Um, so I do think that's one of the most beneficial things for STEP. We also focus on professional development, academic component. I can tell you, other faculty can tell you, students who have been there can tell you, college academics is very, very different than high school academics. And so there is a learning curve when it comes to what the expectation is, what the grading scale is, how grades are calculated at the collegiate level. And so one of the other aspects of this program is to really show you what that expectation is in engineering before you come into the fall semester. So kind of the broad components of the program, and I'll talk about each one of these individually. So is the coursework, faculty lunches, professional seminars, industry events. So what you see in that picture is an industry event with GE, and I'll get into that. But the students always have a Saturday where GE comes in. These are all alumni from Virginia Tech, and do a really interesting design project with students. We do have academic coaching, and then obviously there's some social events because we do understand it's summer and you want to enjoy yourself and have fun. So for the coursework, there are 3 courses that you take: math, chemistry, and engineering fundamentals. I'm going to talk about chemistry and engineering fundamentals first. All majors right now, except for computer science and electrical and computer engineering, are required to take chemistry. So that is one of the courses. First is that it literally is the first 5 weeks or the first 4 weeks of the chemistry course, and you take the first 2 tests. I know students in the past have been really thankful. That first chemistry test can be pretty tough. And so during the summer, students may not have done as well, maybe made a C, a D, sometimes an F. But it's awful comforting when you go into the fall semester and you see that chemistry test in the class that counts, and it looks very similar to the one that you took during the summer. Most of the time, our students that take chemistry, they have A's on those first couple of tests because they literally have questions almost identical to what they get during the summer. The chemistry course is taught by one of the instructors in the chemistry department, most of our STEP students try to get her name is Candace, try to get her in the fall semester just because they're comfortable with her. They know her teaching style, and she is a phenomenal instructor. Engineering Foundations is the same way. It's taught just like the fall course. It's really about exploring types of engineering and learning how to work in groups. One of the things that a lot of the classes in engineering will require you to do is to work in teams and to evaluate your teammates. And for a lot of students, that's kind of a concept of having other people that are responsible for a portion of your grade. And so that's really to kind of teach you how to work with others, how to problem solve. Um, and again, you do get into some peer evaluation, so you know how to handle that, especially if you have a group member who may not necessarily be pulling their weight. You know, how do you handle that? So the other course that we take is, or that students take, is just a math course, and I leave that very broad because every student comes in with a different math background. We have some students that are coming in who will be taking pre-calc. We have some students that are coming in who may be taking Calc 1. We have some students coming in who have already taken and have credit up through Calc 2. So they may be starting with linear algebra or multivariable. For the math course, what we try to do is build a solid foundation for all students. So in that particular course, the focus is kind of building the calculus concepts so that students who will be taking calculus in the fall have already seen and hopefully will be stronger students in the fall because they have seen those concepts. For students that may be beyond Calc 1 and Calc 2, the goal is to make sure that those very fundamental calculus skills are strong for them and that they're prepared to move into multi or to move into linear. I have seen students that have come in with Calculus 1 credit because they took it through high school as a dual enrollment. It's taught very differently than it is here at Virginia Tech. And so when they first got into that Calc 2 course, it was pretty rough just because of the pacing, the expectation, the homework, the teaching style. And so the math course is really about not necessarily covering the specific content that you need, but more preparing you and making sure that you have the foundation knowledge that you need to be able to build on courses at Virginia Tech, as well as understand what the expectation is for a math class at Virginia Tech. So these three classes really kind of give you an idea of what your schedule will be like when you get into the fall semester. Chances are you're going to be taking 15 to 18 credit hours. And so you'll have a couple of additional classes, maybe some pathways classes or English included in these. But these are the major ones that engineers take. And so it's a chance for you to kind of experience the most difficult courses in the summer that you would see during the fall semester. So I did want to take the opportunity while I have an audience to talk about the ALEKS placement. It's funny, over the weekend, I was driving some students for a program on campus for the admissions event. And we were actually talking about the ALEKS placement exam. And some students don't quite understand all of the ins and outs of the exam. So I'm going to try to very briefly kind of give you the general gist of it. If you know that you are going to have to take Calculus 1 when you get to Virginia Tech in the fall, then you have to take the ALEKS placement exam to be able to test into Calculus 1. If you already have dual enrollment credit, or if you have IB, AB, AP, BC, any of that kind of credit that you know you're coming in with, you do not need to take the ALEKS exam. The ALEKS exam is for students who will be taking calculus in the fall. So they take the ALEKS placement exam to see if they score high enough to be able to take Calc 1. In addition to that, their ALEKS score also says whether or not they are able to take chemistry in the fall too. If you already have Calculus 1 credit through dual enrollment or whatever pathway you have it, the prerequisite to take chemistry at Virginia Tech is Calc 1. So if you already have the credit for that, then you've already met the prerequisite to be able to take chemistry. In order to be able to take Calc 1 at Virginia Tech, you have to score at least an 80 on the ALEKS exam. If you do not score that, they will place you in a pre-calc math class. One of the reasons that I tell you not to take the ALEKS placement exam if you're sure that you're going to have Calculus 1 credit is we have seen the cases where students take the ALEKS placement exam, they don't score the 80 that they need to be eligible for calculus, even though they already have the credit. And they're actually placed in a pre-calculus class. It's a whole lot cleaner if you know that you're going to have Calc 1 credit, not to take the ALEKS placement exam, because then when your transfer credits come in, you'll be placed in the appropriate math class. I would encourage you to double check your classes with your advisor when you meet with your advisor this summer and make sure that you know which math class you're supposed to be enrolled in, and make sure that that's the math class that you end up getting enrolled in. There's a lot of students, and so mistakes can happen. So you really need to make sure that you're on top of, particularly that first semester, making sure that you're getting enrolled in the proper courses. So again, if you are planning on taking Calculus 1 at Virginia Tech in the fall semester, that is a case where you need to take the ALEKS placement exam. If you know that you already have credit, then for Calculus 1, there's no reason for you to take the ALEKS placement exam. The other thing is, if you know that you're going to have dual enrollment credit, try to get that transferred as soon as possible from the community college system. I know AP scores, IB scores, those can be up into the summer, but they will not let you enroll in the courses that you need until they have that transfer credit. So sometimes it can be almost up until August before students are actually enrolled in the math class. I will say this, if you are planning to come to STEP, we ask if you need to take the ALEKS placement exam that you only take it one time prior to coming to STEP rather than use all 3 of your attempts. The math course that you take does highlight some of the skills that are in the ALEKS exam. And so our hope is that after you go through the 4 weeks of STEP, that would help boost your score. You only get 3 attempts. There's nothing that we can do about that. So if you use all of your attempts prior to coming to STEP, there's nothing that we can do to help you. So the thought is, if you take it once prior to coming to STEP, that kind of gives you enough where you are. Once you take it after STEP ends, hopefully you'll be successful. But if not, that would give you one more opportunity to take it, to do the modules and to take it prior to the start of the semester. So one of the other really neat aspects of STEP is our faculty lunches. So on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of all 4 weeks, we invite faculty from the various departments to come and have lunch with our students in the dining hall. Faculty love it because they get a free meal, but it also gives our students a chance to sit down with the faculty, get to know them, the ones that may be in the major that you're interested in, and to ask questions about the major. Faculty love sitting down with students. They love talking about their research. They love answering your questions. They're teaching because they have a passion for the subject content. So as you can see in the picture, these were from a couple of years ago, sitting down with one of our professors. We try to make sure that we have professors in all of the various engineering disciplines, so computer science, aerospace, ocean, electrical, computer, civil, building construction, biomedical. We have a lot of professors, industrial systems. And I will say a couple of times we have had students actually get research internship opportunities with faculty that they have met during the seminars. Um, a lot of times faculty will give you their email and they'll say, reach out to me at any time. And students that take advantage of that and meet with them personally, they're very interested in helping you and offering you opportunities. So I think that's one of the unique aspects of the STEP program is really getting that face time with those professors in engineering so that you can get to know them and ask questions that you may have about the major that you're interested in. One thing I will say, these are small lunches, so we limit them to no more than 10 students. So it really gives you an opportunity to get that one-on-one time with those engineering professors. So this is the industry event that I was talking about. GE Vernova actually sponsors the design challenge. Again, this happens on a Saturday. We do it from like 9 a.m. to 2. Students get into groups. They're given a design challenge, and it is a competition. You can see some of the faces of students in the pictures. The very last picture, I was kind of jealous this year because they won GE stuffed animals. So all the students in the winning team got the GE stuffed animals, but this program is actually led by VT alumni. So Mary, who you see in the teal GE shirt in the upper right-hand picture, she was actually a student in our SEED program. She was in the Hypatia Living Learning Community. She stayed with SEED programs all the way through graduation. So when she went to work at GE, she did STEP. She wanted to give back. And so she's actually the one that leads this activity, which I think is really cool. They love Virginia Tech engineers, and GE comes and talks about all of the various internship opportunities that they have available for students. So it's really kind of a cool aspect of our program as well. So in addition to kind of the academics and professional development type activities, one of the things that we want to do at STEP is make you aware of all of the resources that are available to you on campus. I think as freshmen come in, they're very overwhelmed. Living on your own for the first time, there's a lot of people at Virginia Tech. The classes are really big, and sometimes you don't always know who to reach out to or who the contact may be. So what we try to do is bring in resources from around the campus that we know can be really beneficial for students. So the Student Success Center comes in, they talk about tutoring, time management, all kinds of study habits, all kinds of things. Hokie Wellness talks about all of the various programs they have. They have financial well-being, they have a nutrition program. They have a tobacco and alcohol use program. So there's a lot of really good programs that they have. Career and professional development, I think, is one of the most underutilized resources on our campus. CPD has a specific liaison for engineering. And so they talk about all of the services that they offer specifically for engineering students. They do everything from interview preparation, resume review. They have a clothing closet that you can go if you have an interview and you're needing professional clothing. You can get one complete outfit a semester completely free to you. They have an opportunity to do headshots. So I think that's one of the most underutilized places on campus. So we have them come in and talk about all of the various resources they offer. We also have undergraduate research. I know a lot of students are really interested in research as they're on campus. Again, meeting with the professors during the faculty lunches. The Office of Undergraduate Research comes in and talks to you about how to get started in research, how to make those connections, how to reach out to professors. So we really try to make sure that all of the resources that are available to you as an engineering student that you know about, you know who the contacts are, and that way, if you want to utilize those resources, you're familiar with them. So as I said, one of the best benefits, I believe, for STEP is really the creating the community for people that you will be close with for the entire 4 years that you're there. Just really briefly, I'll go through every weekend we do take trips to Christiansburg, whether it's to see movies or do some shopping or do some better eating than maybe in the dining halls. So you can see a couple of my students enjoying their time at Target. We also do the high ropes course. That is not something that you have to do. There are 3 different levels of it, but we highly encourage everybody to at least try the first level. Um, it is a fun time. Last summer I laughed harder than I had laughed in a very long time at students, but they had a blast doing it. We invite the therapy dogs, which are awesome. We love having the therapy dogs at STEP. The therapy dogs actually have office hours on campus that if you just need some snuggles and some ear rubs, you can go get some snuggles and ear rubs. And then one of the events that we had planned last summer was a paint evening. So we just had somebody come in and we did an evening of painting and catered food. And it was just kind of a nice opportunity to just relax and enjoy each other um, with all of the stress of the academics of engineering. So I think I've kind of covered these, just kind of the benefits of the program. And I think the students will kind of um, be more helpful in explaining to you how they felt like the program was beneficial. So just a couple of the logistics. Like I said, the total program cost is $3,500 per student. This cost covers basically your housing and food for the summer. Um, we do live in the dorm. All of your meals are paid for through a meal plan, just like it would be when you're living on campus during the fall. There is financial assistance, and we determine that based on the information that's submitted in your FAFSA form. So one of the things, if you're looking at coming to Virginia Tech, you'll want to make sure that you submit your financial aid information so that we can pull that and offer you a scholarship. The other thing is that for STEP, we do not let you leave. The program is very short. The weekends we use it as opportunities to do team building activities. We do hikes to the local Cascades. There are some days when you get to go swimming in the pools on campus. And so it's really important that you're here through the duration of the program. So if you decide to attend the program, once you're here, you are here for the entirety of the 4 weeks. If you cannot attend one of the weeks, then unfortunately you won't be able to attend the program just because it's so short. We want to make sure that you're getting the most out of the program possible. The other thing is that when you attend STEP, one of the things that we do offer our students is the opportunity to get their laptops set up with all of the needed software on them. So the chemistry class and the engineering fundamentals class in particular have certain programs that they'll be using. So you have to have the laptop that meets the engineering requirements. And then you'll also get the software package to be able to get those programs downloaded so that you can use them throughout the summer. Again, all of those programs you can also use or will also be required to use during the fall semester. So this is just a chance for you to download the software and become familiar with how to use it. So some important dates, applications are taken up through Friday, May 30th. We will send out notifications no later than Monday, June 2nd. I try to get those out just as soon as the deadline closes because I want to make sure students have enough time to plan. I know several students may be traveling from out of state. And so just trying to make sure that students have enough time to plan. You have to confirm that you're coming or not by Thursday, June 5th. And then the program will start Sunday, June 22nd. That is move in. We do a welcome event that day, and then you have just time to kind of chill on campus, do dinner in the dining hall to kind of get familiar with how to do that. And then classes will start bright and early on Monday morning. And then for the end of the program, we do a award ceremony, and you get lunch and then out of here by like 1 or 2 o'clock on that Saturday. I did put the step at vt.edu. If you have questions about STEP after the webinar is over, or if you just want to reach out to me personally, I'm happy to answer any questions. But you can reach me at that email, step@vt.edu. Okay, so I'm going to stop share. And I am going to let our students, so I have asked our students to please share what they felt like was the most beneficial thing about STEP as they went into their fall semester at Virginia Tech, and just in general, what their thoughts are on STEP, because I do think it's good for you to hear from the students. I did notice that we have a couple of questions, so I will try to get to those after the students speak. So Nolan, you're the first one on my screen, so I'm going to start with you.
Sounds good. I'll kind of answer the second part of the question first. I love STEP. I still maintain that it's one of the best decisions I made in college. So I actually commit to the program. But before I was skeptical, but I'm really glad I ended up committing to it. Additionally, I think the biggest thing I got out of it was just knowing Virginia Tech. Because I feel like more so than a lot of the specific academic stuff, it's really nice to go into college. Because normally, like all the other people, if you decide to step, everyone that you're going to move in with in the fall, like at the start of the fall semester, like that's going to be their first time away from home. They're going to be in a completely new foreign area in a region they've likely never lived in before. It's just a completely alien environment. They don't know how this works. It's just so different from high school. And then you're there, and it's like, oh, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I did this for 4 weeks already. So between like knowing where to get food, knowing how to manage your time on your own, knowing how colleges, like how it works, just knowing the general layout of campus, like where the buildings are, where the nice places to relax and study are. Those are like huge things that I don't think a lot of people consider when they initially come to college. That STEP just pretty much hands you on a silver platter. So I mean, like the building I'm in right now, I would not know if it was not for STEP, and I come here like literally every single freaking day to study, and steal candy from Christina. But no, yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest thing I got out of it. You know college, and more specifically, Virginia Tech.
Thanks, Nolan. And one of the things that Nolan brings up, we do have a bus system. And I think a lot of students were very beneficial of learning how the bus system works and doesn't work prior to coming during the fall semester. So I do think that was a benefit. Salif, you're the next one on my list, so I'm going to jump over to you.
Yeah, so I think one of the most beneficial things that I got out of the summer was the connections I made. Um, like a lot of the connections I made over Step, like along with Nolan and Abdullah, I still talk to a lot of them. Um, we get food and hang out sometimes and, study. So I would say the connections for sure is definitely another valuable thing about STEP. And also just like knowing people on campus, like I think Christina was talking about earlier, is really encouraging when you walk into like a very tough class like Calc 2 or like chemistry or something, and you see some people that you know. Um, so yeah, it's definitely really a good mood booster when maybe you're homesick or something, coming to school with like, I don't know, 3,000 other people. It's definitely very encouraging to see people that you know.
Thanks so much, Salif. Abdullah, you're the next one on my list.
Okay. I just answered one of the questions in the chat. I probably spelled some things in there wrong. But for me, the biggest thing I got from Step, like a couple of other people have said, was the community. Um, Not just the friends, but like the support system around you, Christina, the different faculty that you get to meet. The other thing that I really enjoyed was being able to explore like around campus because the campus is super large and you learn very quickly that you need a decent pair of walking shoes because you're going to be walking a lot, especially as a student. So being able to come to campus and know where things are makes life much easier.
Thanks, Abdullah. And then Catherine, do you want to talk?
I think the most important thing I got out of Steph was like the connections. No one from my years like on the panel right now, but I hang out with them like every single day. I'm actually roommates with one of them, and I see like the same groups that we had during STEP hang out, just like in the dining halls all the time. There's like a group of guys who are always together, and it's really fun. Also, taking chemistry during STEP first made taking chemistry so much easier because I'm not good at chem, but I was able to pass, so. It's also like a lot of fun and it flies by real fast.
Okay, now I'm ready. I'm glad you said that, Catherine, because I think a lot of people see an academic program and they think, well, I really don't want to give up my summer, but we do try to have fun and make sure that you're experiencing the surrounding community as well and kind of getting to know the surrounding community as well as the campus community. So I know there are a couple of questions that I wanted to try to answer. Abdullah is being an awesome helper and is answering. So we had the question, can you group roommates by common interests like sports, hobbies, engineering disciplines? We do not. Roommates are randomly selected. That's intentional because if you do not have somebody specific that you're going to be rooming with, you will get a random roommate in the fall. And so sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. So again, we're trying to make this just as much like the fall semester as we can. The next question was, what was the thought process about scheduling STEP right in the middle of summer, especially noting that many of the high achieving students may have internships and jobs? The reason for the specific time frame that we have here in Virginia, most schools are done by the third week of June. And hopefully their graduation celebrations would be over by that time. So that's why we start the last week in June and go through July. We also want to make sure that students have enough time to come back home prior to the start of the fall semester. So that's kind of the logistical reason of why the dates were chosen the way they were. There was another question, what time do you have to be on campus at the STEP program and the start date of June 22nd? So move-in is from 11 to 12:30, I think, if I remember right off the top of my head. And then we do a parent meeting and we also do lunch with that. So you don't have to be here at the very earliest. I think it's 11 a.m. So I get this question a lot. Students ask, how will this program interact with Summer Start? Will the move-in date of Summer Start conflict with the dorm assignment for STEP? Do you have to have a new housing contract for STEP? If you do, you can't do STEP and Summer Start. You have to do one or the other because they do coincide with dates. So you would have to pick one or the other. Is there a way to extend stay through the freshman move-in or all students come home until August? Because we end that third week of July in school, I think student move-in is not until like the second, third week of August. Students typically do go home during that downtime. However, we can work with you as far as not having to move all of your stuff back home. A couple of years, we've had the opportunity for students to maybe move their stuff into their dorm rooms early if that has been available. Last year, it was not. So we just had to work with students on an individual basis to try to figure out where they could store their stuff until they came back to campus. But we'll do everything we can to help you. How many spots are available for STEP? We don't take any more than 75 students. Just because we really do want the students to have a good experience and to get to know each other. So kind of the upper limit for students is 75. So the credit question, whether or not the courses are for credit. So the courses that you take during STEP are not for credit. They mimic the fall semester classes, but they are not for credit. Summer Start has classes that are for credit. So those actually go on your transcript, go towards your GPA. The classes that you take during STEP do not. So one of the questions, the main difference between STEP and Summer Start, one of the main differences is the credits. Summer Start has credit classes, STEP does not. I think the other thing is in STEP, it's very, very much geared toward engineering. In Summer Start, they have all majors there. They do some networking things, but they're not, the program itself is not specifically geared toward engineering like how STEP is. I like this one. How can I make my application stand out so I can get into that program? I think just be yourself. Tell us why you want to be here. We want students who genuinely want to build that community, want to get a heads up on the fall semester. And so be personable, show us who you are. Can you cancel Summer Start to do STEP? I believe that is a yes, but I don't know that for a fact unless you have signed a housing contract. If you've signed a housing contract, I don't know that you can get out of it. But if I don't know who asked that question, but if that's a question that you had, you're welcome to reach out to me individually, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I think I have gone through. I know some of the students have been answering questions too. So as far as I know there were some questions about advisors. So one of the things that we do at STEP is make sure, kind of remind you about the advising process, making sure that you're meeting with your advisor, making sure that you're getting ready for those fall classes. And then, so for the computer recommendation, some people have Mac, some people have Windows operating systems. It kind of depends on whatever you're most familiar with. So, I hope I have answered everyone's questions. I appreciate you being here tonight. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate the students taking time to be a part of the webinar. Again, I think hearing their perspective and that it really has been beneficial to them as they've entered their fall semester, I think is probably the most powerful impact. So I will give it about one more minute to see if anyone else has any questions, and if not, we will wrap up.
I see a question about the needing a Virginia Tech PID to complete the application. I'm not sure if the application, Christine, you probably speak on whether or not it's needed for the application itself, but I know you will need it to get a Hokie passport.
Yes. So one of the, you don't need your PID to complete the application. We just ask for that because if you've already set up the PID, there are things that we can use it for. Like Nolan said, you'll have to have it to get your Hokie passport. We have you go ahead and get your Hokie passport so that you can use that for your meal plan in your rooms, and just like you would when you get to campus in the fall. But you don't have to have it to complete the application. So the application is on the SEED. Thank you, Abdullah. It's on the actual STEP. If you type in STEP Virginia Tech, it'll take you to the web page, and the application link is there. Abdullah is being awesome, and he's putting it in there for me. I'm not sure. I have a paper in my office that tells me all of the scores that you need to get, but I do not have it with me. I am happy to answer that question if you want to shoot me an email. Catherine and Salif may know. But if you want to shoot me an email, step@vt.edu, I'll be happy to answer it.
Then I'm like getting credit for the class.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I think you need a 3, unless they've changed it since I did it. If you take the AP exam for Calc AB, it should be a.
It's a 3 or a 4.
Yeah, I know.
They change it depending on the year, I think.
I know for me it was 4 to get credit for AB Calc. I think it might depend on your high school though. I'm not sure.
I
Yeah.
think it changes. You take the BC exam, you could get a 3, but if you take the AB, I think you could get a 4.
You might be right.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So 3 for BC and then 4 for AB.
And your score kind of depends on what credits it transfers as. So it will transfer as like elementary, I think it's elementary calculus, which is like math 1026, which doesn't really help you as far as the engineering curriculum. But like I said, I'll be happy. You can also find that information on the math webpage for Virginia Tech. It tells you what the scores are that you need. And then we had another question, can the PowerPoint be shared and replayed later? So this whole webinar will actually go on our STEP webpage. So you can view it at any time, which will have the PowerPoint as well as the webinar with it. So yeah, if you finish Calc 3 and linear algebra, you do still have to take math. You've got to take at least differential equations. Abdullah, do you know? I know it's Calc 1, Calc 2, linear, multivariable, DiffEq.
After DPQ, you're done with all your like basic math classes, and then you will start getting into your applied engineering math classes.
It does also depend on your major, but I believe most engineering majors do have to take DiffEq. I know for comp sci though you don't have to take it. So if you're comp sci, then you won't end up having to take that. And I think also no, actually comp sci is only 1 and 0. But yeah.
Thanks, Salif. Do we have any other questions? Well, I hope this has been informative for you. I hope you will consider coming to STEP. I would love to see you and get to meet you. But please, if you have any questions as you go through the application process, or just questions on engineering in general or anything related to STEP, feel free to send me an email at step@vt.edu. Again, my name is Christina Martin. You can also find my direct email on the SEED website. I'm happy to help you answer any questions that you have. So thank you again for joining us, and I will hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening.